Hey there, my name is Shane Craddock, and this is the Inner Edge podcast, where I share a different take on how to lead and live a sustainable high-performance life. Over the course of different episodes, I'm going to challenge the belief that tension, stress, and struggle are essential to success and creativity. My experience is that there's an easier way, there's a better way, and indeed there's an essential way that we need to explore for the times that we live in. So let's go ahead, let's jump in and explore. Hi there. I, first of all, would share a little bit of fun news from my perspective. If you're a regular listener to this podcast, or maybe even if you're not, the Spotify Unwrapped stats came out there recently, and a couple of things that, from my point of view, were noteworthy, were quite nice to see. One is this podcast is listened to in 22 countries, which still blows my mind. We had an increase in 51% of people following the podcast over the last 12 months. And then my favorite statistic of all was the Inner Edge is in the top 15% of most shared podcasts. That blows my mind. So if you've been one of those people sharing, thanks. You contributed to my happiness. Anyway, for today, I am going to reference a weekly email that I did a few weeks ago. If you're new to this podcast series, or I suppose I just let you know that I do a weekly email that goes out every Monday morning. It's based on my book called Inspire Me, and it's designed to be read in less than 60 seconds, a little bit of inspiration. Anyway, the one that I did, I don't know, it's 4 or 5 weeks ago at this point, the subject line was the calm warrior versus the busy worrier, worrier. So calm warrior, warrior, versus the busy worrier. I'm spelling for those listening who are not used to my Irish accent. So I suppose the question I'm going to throw at you today is, are you cultivating the mode of being a calm warrior, or, without realizing it, a busy worrier? And there is a big difference, obviously, in the two mindsets. And of course, if you're listening to this, everyone's going to want to be, I would assume, the calm warrior. You have that kind of, you can almost imagine like that ninja experienced master, the ninja master, calm but lethal and ready to respond in the moment to something happening. But they wait and very calm and still. I like that image myself. Now, the opposite of that is the worrier mind. And here's kind of what I wrote in part of that email I'm referring to. Such a mind, this is the worrier mind, projects worst case scenarios into the future. That's what it thinks its job is. But the worrier mind kills change and potential by saying things like, that's just the way I am, and I'm just being realistic. But it's important to note that it has been proven that the placebo effect, which is the effect of belief thoughts on the body, is very much a real thing. And that means that thoughts of fear, dread, and the worst future I can picture have me ready to not act. Now, I'm adding in a note here on this, is that's one of the reasons why I think we really need to limit our news input daily, because the news in general actually is generally all about thoughts of fear, dread, and the worst you can picture. It's certainly not the opposite in terms of positivity. Now, so that's a different maybe point, but I just think we have to limit what we're bringing into our minds. But then, how much are we letting our minds project into the future in terms of worst case scenarios? It pretty much seems now that the entire world, as I'm recording this in December 2022, the entire world has pretty much talked itself into a recession over the coming 12 months. So it just seems that is the way now it's going to be. Now, within that, from my point of view, I was talking to somebody only last week where they were saying, God, it does seem quite bleak. I'm thinking, okay, fair enough. That's at a macro level. But within that, there's huge opportunity. But really the opportunity is for the calm warrior, or at least the one who's ready to act and look for the opportunities. You're much more likely as well to see opportunities when your mind has an inner stillness, when it has a calmness to it. So with regards to the calm warrior, then in that email, what I wrote was this. You've developed in this kind of mode the inner skills of calm and conscious thought direction. You're fully present in your day and are like an experienced ninja, ready to make an impact and respond to the moment in front of you as needed. The calm warrior mind has developed the ability to take decisive action regardless of any changes in their personal inner weather. Take decisive action enough times and your fear won't exist anymore, plus you're more likely to adapt effectively to the realities of the moment. But here's the rub. Even the best warrior can be infected with the worrier mind. It's a very subtle thing. We're all making up the future, so why not project something more uplifting? It doesn't guarantee anything, but it certainly creates a calmer mind, which in today's world is perhaps the most precious inner skill we can have. So watch your mind this week, and maybe you can identify which mode it's in and gear it back, if you need to the calm warrior. So that's from the weekly email. And the calm warrior, for me, there's many different elements to it. And I'm just going to give you a very simple example of how I think this comes into your daily life, into what you can actually start even improving on today to move more in the direction of the calm warrior. So I was doing a bit of Christmas shopping only this morning. We went early to a big shopping center in Dublin. And I decided, okay, I'm going to get myself a coffee. So I set a queue for coffee. There was a huge queue for the coffee. That bit I didn't like. Massive, right? So you realize, we all are slightly addicted to a product that we need to get going another day. Anyway, I was looking forward to this coffee. I was in the queue. There was about, I'd say, 20 people in the queue ahead of me. And I just thought for the moment, let me just observe here and see how many people are on their phones. And out of the 20, including me, I think there was 17. And I find that fascinating. Now, by the way, I'm not immune to using my phone or looking at my phone or whatever, but I am aware that the phone is perhaps, as well as being an incredible technological gift, it's probably also the single biggest blocker to inner stillness, to your productivity, to your peace of mind. Most people don't see it that way. And the problem with the phone is that it keeps your mind busy. And again, most people don't realize that a busy mind creates a busy life. It's not the other way around. A busy mind creates a busy life. So if you're on your phone all the time, keeping busy, that will make everything more frenzied. And I am observing Christmas time in general, anyway, in the Western world, there's always an extra level of frenziness. But since we came out of the pandemic, I thought from what I was hearing from people who seemed to get a chance to slow down, maybe cultivate a bit of inner stillness, perhaps without realizing it, but said, okay, I'm going to change things. But after the pandemic, honestly, from my perspective, it seems to have gotten worse. And with a busy mind, in my experience, when you have a busy mind, it's more inclined to be a worrier mind, a worrier, not the warrior, a worrier with the O. And in that moment, in that line, in that queue, I think there's an opportunity there to put the phone back in your pocket and to start even in a micro way to cultivate inner stillness, inner calmness, and just practicing by being in the now. How do you do that? Pause and just focus on your breath, and then just tune into your senses, what you see, what you hear. So that's what I did for myself in that time. Just calm things down, brings me into the moment. And from my perspective and the work that I do and what I've done over the last 25 years with high performers, without a doubt, inner stillness is the gateway to high performance in every aspect of your life. Most people, though, will say, yeah, well, when I get this or when this happens, then I will calm down inside. And it doesn't seem to work like that. So before I get to some extra questions to take away maybe into your week or your day, a little plug. I mentioned my weekly email at the start of this episode. If you'd like to get some inspiration in your inbox every Monday, less than 60 seconds really in terms of a read. I don't really sell. I promote the odd thing. I'll make you aware of what I'm doing in different programs and different things that are going on. But bottom line, it's a bit of inspiration perhaps on the day when you need it most. You can go to ShaneCraddock.com, ShaneCraddock.com. That's there. So coming back to this episode and the inner warrior with the A, what are you doing daily to cultivate the calm warrior mind? And maybe you're meditating. Great. But I don't think that's enough. I think you can do more. I think watch yourself during your day. Watch yourself with your phone today. Watch how busy the phone can make you. Is the phone controlling you, or are you controlling the phone? I think most people would maybe get a shock if there was a video or documentary watching them in their day and their week as to how much phone and email in particular, messaging, how much it actually disrupts our minds. And we're paying a big price there. Most people will kind of say, well, I don't really worry that much. And fair enough. But if your mind is busy, which like most people's minds is, then honestly, I think you're going to move in the direction of worry without almost realizing it. And then the other question I'm going to throw at you is, what image do you have of yourself? Is your image of yourself the busy worrier? I'm confusing myself. The busy worrier. Or is it the calm warrior? Most people, I don't think they necessarily see themselves as a calm warrior. They might see themselves as a busy warrior. But I think there's an opportunity. If you can start to change the image you have of yourself, that's probably the starting point of real change. And some extra food for thought. The calm warrior knows that the foundation for a dynamic, active life is inner stillness, nothing else. Calm warrior also knows that they are not their thinking and they are not their mind, and so they don't get distracted or disturbed by it. That point alone is massive. And then finally, the calm warrior listens to their heart and their soul, the place where their inner wisdom, intuition comes in. But it's hard to do that when your head is busy. And we all want to be the calm warrior, I would guess, but what are we doing about it? What are you going to do about it today? Before you go, I would appreciate your help on one small thing. If you could hit like or subscribe on the podcast wherever you're watching it. I hadn't realized until I looked at the Spotify Unwrapped data how much it impacts things. So if you can do that today, hit a like or subscribe, or do you know what, even share it with somebody. That'd be much appreciated. That's it for today. Ciao.